welcome. I'm going to apologize in advance. My desk is a little wobbly right now. If I even touch it a little bit, seems like it just starts kind of shaking. So if we get a little shaking effect, I will work on it after I am done recording videos. But I didn't want to waste time trying to figure that out and totally get distracted and not make this video. So there you go. If you are new around here, my name is Christy Lawrence of Time to Profit, and I help consultants, startups, and business owners create consistent cash flow and predictable profits by embracing sales and doing so with impactful sales strategies and rock solid sales skills that are authentic and rewarding. And what I really want to talk today about is this question that I get a lot, where it's really, what makes someone great at sales? So people come up to me like, what do you think is the most important skill to be successful at sales? What do you think makes people really great at sales? And the thing I want to say here is this question is often predicated on the assumption that sales is a talent that you either have or that you don't have, that it's something that's innate. And I have to say 100% unequivocally, this is untrue. Sales is a set of skills and strategies that can be learned, developed, strengthened, and honed over time. It's not something that you either have or don't have. It doesn't have anything to do with how charismatic you are, how extroverted you are, or how much you like talking to strangers. There are certain qualities that if you have them, like extroversion, that you might be more drawn to sales naturally, but those aren't necessarily the same skills that are going to help you succeed. And if you really want to dive into this more, I highly recommend Daniel Pink's book, To Sell as Human. It will challenge a lot of assumptions that you have about what sales is and what makes someone good at it. And I have said this 100 times, and I will say it again until I've said it at least probably 1,000,000 times. But if you are a consultant, if you are a business owner, sales is a fundamental skill that you need to be successful. There's no way to be successful in business without sales. And I cannot stress this enough, but a lot of times we think that just being great at our craft and being good at what you do and having a ton of knowledge will translate into sales, and that is not the case. Sales is essential for entrepreneurs and business owners. And so if you're uncertain around sales, if you're not sure about sales, it's really important that you embrace this mindset that sales is something that you can develop. Sales skills are something you can develop over time. It's something that you can gain comfort with. And it absolutely is something that can be rewarding, not only for you as a professional, but also for your prospective clients too. This isn't about manipulation. This isn't about putting pressure on people. It's about helping people get what they want. And if you're a business owner, if you are a business owner, you have to drive revenue. And sales is what drives revenue. And so if you're struggling with this, if you're struggling with inconsistent cash flow, if you're struggling with not hitting your revenue targets, I really want you to ask yourself, do you need to be embracing sales more? Because most likely the answer is yes. And if you get a yes and you're like, but sales isn't something I'm good at, do not panic. Sales is something that you can learn to do. Sales savvy is something that 100% can be developed. And if you want to get better at it, the number one skill that you can learn to get better at sales is the ability to ask engaging questions. Yes, active listening is important. Leadership is essential. The ability to articulate your thoughts clearly and concisely, incredibly important in sales. The ability to develop rapport and create trust with people. All of these things, the ability to handle rejection, all of these things are super important. But asking questions is going to help you with all of these things. This is a foundational, fundamental skill in sales. So if you're going to practice one thing, really practice the art of asking good, engaging questions. Asking quality questions builds trust. It not only helps you to understand your prospective clients, but it helps them to understand themselves better. It helps them see their problems more clearly. It helps them gain clarity. It helps them really understand and discern what it is that they want and what their goals are. These are all things that are going to help you be more successful in a sales conversation. And really what I want to stress here is that asking questions, yes, will help you get insight, but it will help your clients do the same. And that's really what it's all about, right? Asking questions is what turns asking questions is what turns a sales call into a sales conversation. And conversations are where deals happen. That's where people make a decision about doing business with you. Nobody wants to listen to a presentation. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Nobody cares how great you or your service is. But what everyone cares about is themselves and their goal. Questions, asking engaging questions, are what create a connection between you and their goals. And so this is it. This is the thing. If you're going to do one thing to get better at sales, get better at asking questions. Here, I want to give you 3 quick tips to help you get better at this. The first is to identify questions in advance. Don't leave your questions to chance. Just don't hope you come up with a good question on the spot. Sometimes a prospective client will say something that will trigger a question. Absolutely follow that thread. Be curious. Follow your curiosity. But think in advance about the questions that your client needs to be asking themselves to be successful, to be thinking about their problem in the right way. Your questions should be a part of your key message strategy. They should be a part of how you think about your key selling messages. So I always recommend for my clients, for every value proposition we have or key selling message that we have identified 3 questions to help the client think about that value statement differently, to think about their business in relation to that value statement. So really think about what are the things that your benefits that you're offering, and what are the questions that help your client really understand that benefit differently. So identify those questions in advance. Tip number 2, after you finish any sales conversation, reflect back on what questions you asked. Ask yourself, how did I do at asking questions? What questions did I ask? What questions sparked conversations? This will help you to get better at developing the habit of question and draw awareness to asking questions. The other thing that I always like to do is, after I've had a conversation with a prospective client, what questions didn't I ask but that I'm curious about? I can write those down and ask those in the next conversation. So again, this is going to help you with point number 1, to identify your questions in advance. So really thinking about, did you do a good job of asking questions? How can you get better at it? What questions do you want to ask in the future? This is just going to help you really be mindful about asking questions. And then to add on to that, really think about measuring questions as a way to measure success. Set a question goal for yourself. When you're having a conversation with a potential client, set a goal to ask at least 5 questions. And then measure that. Did you hit it, right? Yes, no, okay, see. This again is just about creating more mindfulness around asking questions. I do want to preface all of this with saying the goal here isn't to, I'm trying to think of the word, like the lawyer word, when they're asking you all the questions. You're not interrogating your prospective clients here. Your questions need to be, paced with insights, with benefits, with value statements, with things that are going to help them to really interpret the questions. And you don't want to just be saying like, okay, what's your goal here? What happened here? Then what? Where they feel like, whoa, right? You want to have it balanced out. So you ask a question, maybe a follow-up question, then you share an insight, then you get their perspective on the insight, then you ask another engaging question. A conversation is 2 ways. So if you only ask questions, that's an interrogation, not a conversation. But what happens more often is that we don't ask enough questions, or we don't ask enough engaging and insightful questions. So that's really where the opportunity is. So I have developed a tool that can help you with this. It's called 5 Questions to Multiply Your Sales. There's actually more than 5 questions here, but there's just 5 different questions for different scenarios, and some tools to help you customize those so that you can start identifying those questions in advance. You can download that for free at mytimetoprofit.com. Again, that's mytimetoprofit.com. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next week.